Hello and welcome to another Pie and Smith production. We're here today to preview day 9 of the PDC World Championship of Darts. 8 games to get stuck into. We're not messing about today. I'm going to send you straight over to the main man, Matt Pieman Hill, and we're going to kick off the action with Rapid Ricky Evans against Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, cheers, Adam. This is the last day of action before the PDC Championships take their standard Christmas break. So after today's evening session, we'll have no darts, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and we'll be back on the 27th for the third round onwards. Always a sad time when you have to adapt to a few days without darts after having an absolute influx of it. But we'll get through it. We've done it before. We could do it again. Yeah, we kick off this afternoon's session with Ricky Evans versus Mickey Mantle. An interesting game because Ricky Evans is the 32 ranked seed, which means he's the lowest of all the seeds. And he's playing Mickey Mantle. Now, it's not a game that you would initially glance at and think, oh, yeah, obvious upset. But digging a little bit deeper at the form, Ricky Evans has had a tough time of it. He's not had a great year, to be honest. He's pretty lucky to still be in the top 32. He's a great player to watch when he's on his game because he throws them, he doesn't get called Rapid Ricky for no reason. He throws them so quickly. It's great to watch. But if we're being honest, Ricky Evans has not hit the heights that he threatened to hit for a while now. Probably a couple of years he's been below par, a bit disappointing. And I think you can make a reasonable case for Mantle pushing him closer here. Not sure if I'd go as far as to get involved in the game, but I would say that Mantle is around 6-5. There was nothing in his first round game to say that he wouldn't be able to give Ricky Evans a game because it's hard to see Ricky Evans averaging anything above sort of 90-95. He just hasn't shown that in a long time. And Mantle did average around that in his first round win. So it's all about Mickey Mantle for me. If he can replicate his first round performance, I think he could turn Ricky Evans over. But I'm not confident enough in Mantle to put him up with any certainty, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty similar to you, Pieman. I wouldn't put anyone off back in Mickey Mantle. You can get 11-8 out there. Ricky Evans is one of the players that most feeds off the crowd. He plays up to the crowd, sometimes to his detriment. He does really enjoy himself. He's a character on the stage, as you say. He's erratic with his darts. He's too fast for his own good at times. Yeah, this is pretty much of a coin toss game for me. Mickey Mantle's settled in. He's already got the win. He's used to the environment. I don't think Ricky's going to enjoy this sterile environment, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I'm similar to you. Not fully committed to the Mantle selection, but certainly wouldn't put anyone off if they wanted to back Mickey Mantle in this one. Second game of
that could be a bit of a hindsight game, that, to be fair, where if Mickey Mantle goes and wins, I'll think, that was a bad, missed opportunity there. But sorry, as we go on, Gary Anderson versus Madz Razma. Rasmus, someone I put up in round 1 to win 3-0, and he did, albeit rather fortuitously. But he got the job done, the Latvian. He's an interesting player, quite an unusual player in that he will use the treble 19s heavily. You might see a lot of 1-3-3s and 1-7-1s coming in from Razma, to the surprise of the Sky Sports commentary team, obviously. But yeah, he plays Gary Anderson. Again, this match is all about one player. It's all about Gary Anderson, to be honest. We've seen him have some very hit and miss performances. He's had a lot of problems with injury this year. He's had a couple of outbursts in interviews. He's not the Gary Anderson of old, but I don't think you could entirely rule him out. It'd be unwise to rule him out because if he turns up with 75% of his game in working order, he'll be a problem for anyone. The one thing I would say about Gary Anderson, the last time we saw him was at the Players' Championships where he hobbled onto the stage to play Keegan Brown and should have lost, to be honest. Was atrocious for his first 5 or 6 legs. But then he started to play well. He turned the game round, won that game, and he was okay against Michael Smith. He lost, but it was a really sort of strange performance that gave me more questions than answers, to be honest, on Gary Anderson's current state. And I think the Latvian will have to play better regardless of how well Anderson plays. But he can do that. He didn't play anywhere near his best. And I've got a sneaking feeling that this could be a decent game to watch, to be honest. But it needs Razma to turn up with a better attitude than he had in his first round match. And it needs Anderson to, not be in that attitude we've seen in occasionally in recent times where he just rolls over and doesn't fancy it. I think he'll be up for it. World Championship. So probably a narrow Anderson victory for me, and maybe not a vintage performance, but
I think that Anderson has been a bit of a conundrum really for people like us to solve, because he has clearly been injured in the last couple of tournaments, hobbling around. Now, the previous Anderson, the kind of been there, done that, got the T-shirt, in the latter years of his career, but still up there, might have missed a couple of tournaments, might have missed the Players' Championship finals in order to be ready for this and try and rest up that leg. That didn't happen, which was a bit of a surprise to me. So he obviously thinks that he can continue to play through that and into the big one that is the Worlds. I slightly disagree with you here, Pieman. I think Gary Anderson will win this game 3-0. I think 7-4 for 3-0, which is available this morning. I think it's too big, to be honest with you. Razma only averaged 89 last time against an Asian qualifier. Yeah, I think that Gary's he should be up for it. I don't think he rolls over to lesser players, as it were. I think he sometimes has rolled over to players that are on his level. We've mentioned Gerwen Price, etc. So, yeah, I think Gary Anderson will win this game 3-0 personally, 7-4.
Yeah, I totally see the line of thought. I guess I'm sort of hanging out for a little bit more out of Razma. I don't think we saw anywhere near the best of him in the first game, and hoping that the lack of expectation on him might produce a little bit of a better performance from him today. But I like Gary Anderson, so I wouldn't be discouraged to see him put in a good performance. It's a better tournament for him being on form, definitely.
Into game 3, similar-ish really to the Ricky Evans and Mickey Mantle kind of set up there. We've got Stephen Bunting, who's the seed, and Andy Bolton, who won the first round game against them. I think it was Dieter Hedman, wasn't it? So Bunting, he's not pulled up any trees this year. I think he's 500 to 1 to win it outright. That tells you how much of a chance he's got, really. But yeah, Andy Bolton been there on the stage, got the win. I think it was there 3-1 against the female competitor. So yeah, pretty much a coin toss kind of game with the bookmakers. 4-5 Bunting, 6-5 Bolton, that kind of range. So what was your thoughts on that one, Pieman?
Well, I think you can take on Stephen Bunting with relative confidence here, and this is someone who this is coming from someone who likes Stephen Bunting, and remember when he, as we touched on in our preview, when he made that switch over from the BDO all them years ago, it was a long time ago now, he looked like he was going to be able to compete at the top of the PDC. For a number of reasons, hasn't really materialised like that, especially in the recent couple of years. He's been way off the boil, as Stephen Bunting, and it's not nice to see. Some indications he may be getting a little bit of form back, but not enough to inspire me with confidence. And Andy Bolton is a little bit of he's definitely not a fashionable player to be with. He hasn't really set the world alight in any TV tournaments, but there's been indications this year that he's in a good place with his game. Obviously, got past Dieter Hedman in round 1. He dropped that set, but it was a very comfortable victory. He won the other he won his 3 sets, 3-0. He wasn't really pushed. But just like, for example, Andy Bolton, a regular in the home tour, and in December alone, we saw him playing a couple of events where he got wins over Steve West, Luke Humphreys. He's beaten Damon Hetter. He's beaten Ron Meulenkamp. This is all in the last couple of weeks. So, I mean, this is a guy who can play. And I would be quite confident that he can turn Stephen Bunting over here, to be honest. And I would be with Andy Bolton in this game.
Yeah, that's a fair shout, Pieman. And the next game, I found the final game of the afternoon session. To me, I didn't know what to make of it. Mantle Suljovic has been out of form, away from darts through periods, through family circumstances, against Matthew Edgar, who, in his first round game, the scoreline of 3-0 against Covenhoven looks impressive, but an 87 average. I don't know. Like, I would consider Mantle a vulnerable seed, but I don't think Edgar's the one to take him on, and I think that Suljovic will upset Edgar's rhythm, as he does to most people. But I think he will upset Edgar's rhythm, and I can see Mantle winning this one personally. Mantle's 4-11, and Suljovic is around the Mantle's 4-11, and Edgar's around the 5-2 mark. So yeah, I didn't really know what to make of it, Pieman. So I'm pleading the 5th, but you're the man to tell me what will happen.
I'm not sure I am, to be honest, because I think Matthew Edgar's got, as you say, one of the more attractive draws, but it's just difficult. I want Matthew Edgar to do well in this game, but I'm not totally sold on that performance against Covenhoven. 3-0, fantastic result for him. No doubt he played very well, but he was 75% on his doubles. For me, that's probably unsustainable. And that would suggest that the average that was 87 could drop down into the low 80s, which just simply wouldn't be enough to beat Mensah Suljovic. But then could you back Mensah Suljovic with any confidence? No, you couldn't. He's had the year from hell. And he's had, personal traumas as well as like playing traumas. So it's difficult. You want to get against Suljovic. The price is quite attractive for Edgar based on, someone who won their first round game 3-0. But I just think there's enough question marks over Matthew Edgar to not get with him. If he does win it, it'll be the best result of his career to date. So good luck to him, because he has been to the Worlds a couple of times prior to this and it's gone horribly wrong for him. That first round game went perfect. His confidence will be high, but he's going to have to up the scoring because that finishing is not sustainable for me. So, yeah, an interesting one to watch, if not to be involved with.
Yeah, and the only bet I could potentially look at in that game would be Mensah to win 3-0. You are counting on Mensah to turning up and being in form. Hopefully he is. We've not seen him for a little while, but yeah, 3-0 at 5-2 I thought was decent. Like I say, if Edgar's going to go in there and average 87, it could easily be a 3-0 game, to be honest.
I could see them both averaging under 90, to be honest.
Yeah.
And maybe even it's not a line that I like to take with matches, but I think the unders on the 180 line. I don't see it being a game of power scoring really. I think it'll be a scrap. So yeah, if you're an unders fan, it's worth a look, I think.
Yeah, and then we're into the evening session where the first game is Keegan Brown against Dave Chisnall. So yeah, Keegan Brown was a bit of a we picked against him in his first round game where he ended up winning that one 3-0, which was an impressive performance really against Ryan Meikle. It's one of them again where the bare result 3-0 doesn't tell the full story. I thought Meikle was unlucky not to win at least one or two sets there personally, and Keegan Brown had a slightly low average, but a 93 average is certainly respectable enough. It was a nice feel-good win as well. Keegan Brown with the NHS backstory that he's got this year. He's certainly been practicing a lot more this week, and then into the fray comes Dave Chisnall, who's the number 8 seed. Reasonably close actually with the bookies, to be fair, this one, given the backstories. Chisnall's in the region of 4-11 and Keegan Brown's best price 5-2 currently. So what was you thinking on that one, Pieman?
Well, Keegan Brown, yeah, as you say, it kind of took him on with Ryan Meikle and he proved it to be wrong. We worried about his practice schedule and whether he'd be able to maintain the levels that we've seen from him in previous years, but sure enough, he did. He came out and played really well. He said since that although he hasn't been practicing as much, he feels particularly relaxed for the tournament, and he's been looking forward to the tournament as something to, aim towards. So I do totally get that mindset, and he'll need to be at his best here against Dave Chisnall, because Chizzy is an experienced pro on this stage, and while he often gets a lot of stick for being a bottler or not quite good enough to win events, I think like this kind of game is his bread and butter, really. I mean, Keegan Brown should be hitting a lot of ton 40s. Dave Chisnall can go with that, no problem. He'll have plenty of chances. The doubles, I don't think, doubles can be his downfall. And I don't think his doubles need to be absolutely on point to win this game. I think as long as he's around the 40% mark, I see Chizzy getting the job done. Maybe dropping a set. I think 3-1 Chisnall is quite a likely outcome here, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a nice-ish start into the tournament for Chisnall.
It's a great tune-up game.
A nice settler, yeah. 3-1 is the favourite outcome. That's it. That's in the region of 5-2.
I think he'll need a tune-up game, Chisnall, as well, because I believe he plays Dimitri Vandenberg after that if he wins.
Well, no, actually, I was just going to come on to that, Joe. So Chisnall should fancy this, because awaiting the winner of the Chisnall and Brown game is Danny Noppert. We're going to mention
apologies, and then the winner of that,
correct,
played Dimitri,
correct,
and that's where I would worry about Dave Chisnall. But I mean, yeah, it's certainly a winnable first two games for him,
exactly.
No doubt.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. The next game on the list in the evening session, I've just missed it there, is Jermaine Watamina against Nick Kenny. Nick Kenny is a first round winner already. Jermaine Watamina, big Dutchman, high scorer, sometimes erratic. He is favourite to win this game, about 1-2 Jermaine, and then you can get Nick Kenny at the opposite kind of price. So yeah, that one kicks off there. Could be reasonably close, Pieman, if Watamina's not on his game.
Could be. It's all about Watamina for me. We saw a good, solid performance from Nick Kenny, and he admitted that nerves got the better of him in that game against Telmekas. He won it 3-2, but he said, I just couldn't replicate my practice form on the stage. And that's a very common issue for players making their debut, or, you know, someone who hasn't got much experience on that stage. It is very different when you get up there. Nick Kenny found that out. Whether he's going to have learnt enough in one tight, scrappy game to, go and turn over someone like Watamina, I'm not sure. Watamina is someone you can make a case against quite easily, because although he's been to Players' Championship finals this year, he's also had a lot of first-round exits this year. He's not reliable. When he's scoring his own, he's a task for anybody, but he's quite erratic on his doubles. His stage record isn't inspiring. So while you couldn't be getting with Watamina with any confidence, I'm not really sure Nick Kenny's the man to take him on with. I see it a little bit like Suljovic Edgar, this, where you want to find an angle in against the favourite, but you can't really find it. So maybe just best left, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And then in the penultimate game of day 9 is Nathan Aspinall, who we've talked a fair bit about, semi-finalist the last 2 years, I believe. So he enters the fray here, Aspinall. You've got question marks over Aspinall, Pieman, and I know you were someone that was taking him on from an outright perspective. He faces Scott Waits here in this round 2 tie. Waits was on the positive end of a fantastic game against Matt Campbell in round 1, averaged 96 on his PDC World Championship debut, showed what he can do. That was a really good game. I was on the losing end of that from a betting point of view. And Scott Waits, at times, I think today, is going to test Nathan Aspinall. Whether he can stick with him for 5 sets is another question. Aspinall is certainly a level or two above Matt Campbell. And at the moment, from all evidence, PDC evidence we've got, is a level or two above Scott Waits. That's not to say that Waits might not trouble him today. Hopefully he will, and it'll be a good game. Aspinall's about at 4-11, and Scott Waits is 5-2. Do you think Waits would be able to trouble Aspinall today?
I do. Yeah. I think this is the best game of the day, and I think Scott Waits has got a chance of beating Nathan Aspinall. I think this will be a good game. This Scott Waits is a really interesting runner in that he can raise his level to his opponent at any given time. There's no player, maybe bar Van Gerwen and even Gerwen Price. I think Scott Waits, just because of his experience and the quality of him, yes, when he plays a player averaging mid-80s, he might average mid-80s as well, but he's a classic match-up guy. You know, he can match his standard to who he's playing. He can go with Aspinall if he's on his game, Scott Waits, and he's beaten bigger and better players than Nathan Aspinall in his career. He won't be overawed by taking on a seed. A lot of these games, you're looking at the non-seed and thinking, oh, they haven't really got the experience of a big game. They haven't got that big win on the CV. Scott Waits has got hundreds of big wins on his CV. This is a 2-time BDO World Champion, Grand Slam of Darts Champion. I just see no reason why Scott Waits can't run him closer here. I know I'm being a little bit harsh on Nathan Aspinall. This is someone who's been, really impressive every time we've seen him at the Ali Pali, and he's had a really good year, Premier League finalist. So I maybe am being a little bit harsh in taking him on, but I just think there's a few signs that he's not quite where he has been in previous years. And I don't know whether to get with Scott Waits on the outright, but I think the sets, I've said it over 4.5 sets a few times this week with varied success, but I think this game can go deep. I think this would be a good battle.
Yeah, I was looking at potentially Aspinall 3-2. He's 9-2.
I can see that.
And then over the 4.5 sets, Pieman is 9-4. So for this game to go 5 sets,
I like that.
Basically 3-2 either way is 9-4. That's fair enough. And then the final game of the evening is Michael Smith against Jason Lowe. Jason Lowe, who you backed in your 3-0 multiples in the first round, averaged 86 against Russian qualifier Dmitry Gorbanov. Michael Smith comes into the fray, got to the final of the World Championships a couple of years ago, and will be open to do the same again this year, and if not go one better. He has been in good form, Michael Smith. I think personally that he's turned a corner. He's not quite got over the line in a TV tournament as yet, but he's had a couple of wins on the tour this year. I think he's going into this as one of the leading candidates. Devon Peterson awaits in the 3rd round. Should be straightforward for Michael Smith, who is obviously a long odds-on favourite to beat Jason Lowe tonight.
Yeah, he's quite right to be long odds-on as well, to be honest. I mean, even if I like Jason Lowe as a darts player, and I think he's sometimes underestimated in the market, you couldn't put him up as having a strong chance against Mike Smith. You know, this is there's a golfing class between these two players, certainly on the stage. Jason Lowe's a classic kind of floor player who gets a few results off the stage, and then he hasn't really done it other than a UK Open run on the television. Like if Jason Lowe turned up, he can give him a little bit of a scare, but even then, I'm not convinced he would get over the line against Smith. One thing I would say about Michael Smith, a word of caution. We've often seen him in first rounds of tournaments. He's had a couple of like very close games or scares, perfectly illustrated by his 6-5 game against Boris Kuchma, where yes, Boris Kuchma played extremely well in that game in the Players' Championships, but it just seems to be the way it goes sometimes for Smith. He never seems to be able to ease into a tournament the way that Van Gerwen often does. He always seems to have to battle his way through to quarters and semi-finals. So whether that's just an observation that I've made, you know, based off a couple of tournaments, I'm not sure. But he's not. I think the 3-0 presumably would be odds on, and there's enough for me not to take it.
Well, Pieman, I'm just looking now. The 3-0 is not odds on, believe it or not.
11 to 10 maybe.
So, yeah, you can get 11 to 8 Smith the 3-0.
Do you know what? I think that's a bet. That's probably about right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I'm just looking. In conclusion, I'm looking at. I'm turning into Pieman. I'm looking at a 2 or 3-0s today. So I'm probably going to play a Trixie. I think Michael Smith 3-0 against Jason Lowe. Gary Anderson 3-0 against Razma is 7-4, and then I'm going to play Mensah against Edgar 3-0 is 5-2. That's the biggest price out of the three for a reason, but I do think if Mensah is 90% of his game, he should probably be winning 3-0. So that would conclude our Day 9 World Championship of Darts preview, and we'll be back soon with more content. So thanks for watching, guys.
Cheers, guys.